Minister, it's okay.
Yes, please.
It's good to have you on the program again this day, and it remains the Polity, of course, King Adewale Film Theatre and Arts Network, and of course Film and Theatre Arts Network rather, and television, of course, attached to it. And what we do normally on the Polity is discuss the polity. It's as simple as that. And so today is something that affects the polity is what we'll be talking about this day. We're looking at the National Social Insurance Trust Fund, and the National Social Insurance Scheme, if you like. And we want to look at that and find out what it's all about and how people-friendly, you could say, it is. And so letting you know a bit of it, that it's a Nigerian government institution dedicated to protecting employers' welfare in case of work-related accidents, injuries or death, as the case may be. And it's established to provide social insurance benefits as well as, I would say NSITF, as it is briefed, ensures workers receive compensation for occupational hazards, disabilities, and retirements. Well, that is just a summary of what happens there. And I will let you know that there are certain things that I refer to as objectives, like compensation, rehabilitation, and of people that get involved, as I've mentioned in the summary. But then there are also other benefits and so on and so forth. We'll talk about all that as we go on the program, because this day we've got someone from there that will say things about the office, so we'll get to know more. And of course you, dear viewer, will find time to make your call, make your contribution, and ask questions if you have questions to ask. But I believe at the end of the day, you would be glad you did enjoy or you did watch what we had on the program, The Polity, today. Incidentally, Okechukwu Onubogu here, by the way. Incidentally, I want to let you know that this day I won't be alone in talking about what we discuss on the program. I've got my colleague, Reuben Okala, the breaking news master, to help me talk, and we'll talk to someone. And I will say, I'll ask him to let you know who we'll talk to, and then we'll take it from there. Reuben?
Hello viewers, I'm Reuben Okala, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of The Polity. And today, as my colleague has said, is going to center on social insurance. And here with me as a guest is the Managing Director of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, in the person of Mr. Oluwaseun Fadile. All right?
Yes.
He was appointed by President Bola Tinubu on July 13, 2024, to lead the organization and drive its strategic objectives. Fadile is a legal and corporate finance expert with extensive experience in the public and private sectors. Fadile's background includes notable roles in the Lagos Civil Service, National Pension Commission, Leadway Pension PFA, PwC Nigeria, and AXA Mansard Insurance. His experience and expertise are expected to drive significant improvements in the management of social insurance schemes in Nigeria. Mr. Fadile, welcome to The Polity.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
If I may start, you are looking cool. What's your secret?
Thank you very much. Just a quick point of correction.
Okay.
I noted some of my career backgrounds that you've listed. I've never worked in Leadway Assurance or AXA Mansard or PwC.
That's the problem. Google's misled us. Sorry about that.
I'm sure it's a mix of but nonetheless, it's my pleasure to be here.
All right. I asked you earlier, you're looking good. What's the secret?
Well, a lot of sleepless nights and a bit of hard work. We thank God.
Okay. Mr. Fadile, it's okay that we are here with us on the program today, and it's a pleasure to have you on the program. We've had people who have been at the helm of affairs at the NSITF before now, and you are there right away. We want to say congratulations for being the one at the helm at a time like this.
Thank you.
And we will ask, we want to know the thing you could refer to as the main objectives of NSITF, and apart from the objectives, we also want to share how you intend to achieve some of your goals anyway, and related to these achievements, related to these objectives of the organization.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My objective as the leader of the organization really is tied to the mandate of the organization, the mandate that was prescribed by law. And that mandate, like you rightly said in your introductory remarks, is to provide social insurance coverage to Nigerian workers through the employee compensation scheme. Obviously, all Nigerian workers, be it in the private sector, be it in the public sector. So really, our objective is to ensure that employees who suffer deaths, injuries, disabilities, or any form of accidents arising from work or arising in the course of work receive adequate compensation, are rehabilitated and reintegrated into a productive life cycle after that accident. So that's really what we intend to achieve in a nutshell, is really to pay claims promptly, to ensure proper rehabilitation and reintegration of injured workers, and most importantly to maintain and manage a very solvent fund, because the employee compensation scheme is a fund, is a pool of fund that we then use as the need arises when claims are brought forward. And so that's really one of the objectives. Then the other objective is to ensure efficient and transparent claims process, because that's also key. And in doing that, we also another objective of ours is to collaborate more with key sister agencies, all stakeholders that are within the social insurance ecosystem, in a nutshell. So that's really our objective. And if you see those, hear those objectives, you see that they are tied to the core mandate of NSITF. And the key ways to answer the last leg of your question in terms of how we intend to achieve that are in a number of ways. One, we're focusing on expanding the coverage of the scheme, such that we're bringing hitherto excluded public service employees into the scheme. We're bringing in or expanding the coverage in the private sector. And then we're also, of course, cultivating to a large extent the informal economy to bring them into the fold, to build more resilience into our national work framework. And that's really how we intend to achieve this. I can go deep into some of the key issues.
We'll be talking about that as we enter the program proper.
Thank you.
But looking at your mandate and your objective, your mission and vision, very laudable on paper, neat, everything looking cool. But we still see there are some Nigerians carrying placard for mistreatment by their employers. What do you say to that?
Well, I'm not sure what those, as you are aware, the labor environment is a very, very sensitive environment, and different things could be responsible for those protests. But when we speak about social insurance and what NSITF does, I think we've largely been able to discharge our responsibilities and our mandates within the established framework. You will agree with me that our social insurance landscape is evolving. We have different agencies and bodies that offer quasi social insurance products and services. PENCOM is one, NHIA is one. We've seen instances of trader money transfer, all of those conditional grants and all of that. Those are social insurance initiatives one way or the other. And what I've always advocated for is that we have a synergy of discharging these obligations to Nigerians, so that we can do that in a much more impactful way. And I believe, and that speaks to our effort at collaborating with other agencies. And if we collaborate more, I'm sure that those incidents of protest and dissatisfaction will reduce going forward.
That's right. Before my colleague ask the next question, let me, when you were first appointed, when you had your name on TV, what came to your mind as you were approaching the office, talking about the reforms? What do you have in mind to change the atmosphere in the insurance scheme of things?
Okay. First and foremost, I was glad that I was given the opportunity to serve. Sometimes we sit behind and postulate as to what should be done and what shouldn't be done to move Nigeria forward. So having a real privilege to then be a part of deliberate action to move forward I was happy about that. But of course, with every responsibility comes with corresponding obligation to perform. For me, I think that the key issues that resonated with me was, one, building a workforce within NSITF itself that are able to respond to the challenges of their mandate. They are able to discharge their mandate much more efficiently and effectively.
That's right.
And one of the things that I looked at when I came in was to see what is the conditions of service of the workers themselves. In what environment are they working on? What are the tools that they're working on to be able to discharge that responsibility effectively? What is their digitalization profile, for instance? How do we ensure that we use digitalization and technology to promptly offer services to Nigerians? So those thoughts really ran through my mind, and that's really has been at the back of my mind even as we move forward and begin to tackle these issues one by one. That's but right. Most importantly is the end result is the level and quality of service that we offer subscribers. I think that's what we'll be judged by at the end of the day.
Okay, you said at the end of the day, so we'll still return to you
at the end of
sometime towards the end of the day to ask you how far you've gone. Okay. Then looking at the fact that there are employees, welfare schemes, employees compensation schemes and all that, both under the government and the private sector, especially those in the private sector. You find out that in most cases the employers find it difficult to meet up with these terms to help the people, and Nigerians involved suffer. But I know that there is a body that should help them, and that body should be the NSITF. What are the things you need to do? How do you do it? How do you identify such people, and what are the steps you need to take to help the employees? The employees, they are the major people I'm talking about, to get to have all that they need to have from the employers.
Thank you. This is a very important question, and I will take a bit of time to speak about it. Right. The law is the law. The law and the framers of the law in their wisdom have provided for a scheme that builds resilience in our workforce. And that resilience is not just building resilience for the resilience sake, is to build to provide the backbone for economic productivity. It means that every employer, both at the public sector and the private sector, must comply with the law. And my legal colleagues would say that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So every employer is meant to subscribe to the employee compensation scheme. This is irrespective of any sort of private or insurance or arrangement that you may have for your employees. It's important that as you employ and you pay salaries monthly, you contribute 1% of that salary to the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust
So
Fund.
it's your money actually?
It's not a deduction from the employee's salary. It's not a deduction.
Okay.
It's different from pension. So pension, for instance,
Are you saying your pension too?
No, we're not.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to make the distinction between this fund and pension. Pension, you pay a half of it, the employer pays half of it.
That's right.
Employee compensation scheme, the employer will contribute, in addition to your salary, 1% of your salary to NSITF. And that means that when you are contributed and they are contributing on a monthly basis, if anything happens to you while you are in the course of work, either you are coming to work or you are going from work to home,
yes,
or you are on an errand from work, or you are sitting in your office, anything happens, then we are responsible for payment of claims and compensation regarding that. We're responsible for rehabilitating you and reintegrating you into workforce. Whereas if it results in death, we're responsible for payment of death benefits to your dependents. And that's very key, because we have seen instances where dependents are paid as much as 90% of your current salary when accidents occur.
Okay.
And beyond that, we pay medical refund. So if, for instance, in the rush of ensuring that the employee receives proper medical attention, the employer or family members or anybody have rushed the employee to the hospital, we refund the medical bills. We even pay the employer for loss of productivity. So if your employee that is meant to be at work is injured as a result of work, and then you lose productivity because of that, we pay you for that. You know, so all of these are both cash and non-cash elements of our compensation.
Okay.
And in joining strictly, is the onus is on the employer to subscribe. That's what the law says. It's like paying your tax. You know, it's like paying your...
The employer subscribe to NS...
Yes, NSITF.
Okay,
So
okay.
basically, if I'm employing 10 people and I start operation, part of my regulatory compliance will mean that I register with NSITF. They will ask me questions. How many staff do you
If you
have?
don't register, you're not qualified to...
You are not qualified.
Okay.
You know. So
but you make sure that every organization subscribe to you.
It's our responsibility. So what we do is we go on compliance drive, we go on sensitization drive, we go on advocacy, we go on inspection. All of these are measures to drive up compliance.
Okay.
And another point that I might like to make is, of course, ensuring that you pay monthly. And I say it that even employees themselves must begin to ask questions of their employer, because the benefit is to them. If they are injured or anything happen, if they don't have that coverage, it is the employee that will suffer.
Exactly.
So as we ask employee for our salary and we ask whether you are paying my pension, you should ask whether are you subscribed to his employee compensation scheme.
Okay.
Only 2 weeks ago, I got a court notice of court action where an employee is suing an employer.
Okay, if I was coming to that,
Yes.
What happens if the employer refuses to answer the employee who is injured or has claim to make?
So I think the first question is the employer even registered under NSITF?
Okay.
If you are not registered, I was going to make the point now that it is becoming clear for employees that understand their rights and responsibilities. They are now suing employers for denying them the social insurance cover that they are entitled to under the law.
Okay.
So the law, when I saw it, I said, oh, this is very interesting, because they sued the employer, they sued even NSITF and joined us to say that by law, I was entitled to this. You are supposed to register me and pay compensation and pay subscription to NSITF, but you fail to do it, exposing me to danger, that such that when I'm injured as a result of work, I'm unable to have the social protection that the law affords me. And that's a way to go. If we don't call these people to action, we may not be able to get the right coverage that we need, particularly speaking from the employee perspective.
Okay. Now I see some disabled in workplaces. Okay. Incidentally, we don't have here, but other places when you go, you see disabled. They were disabled before. Either they were disabled before they were employed, or they got disabled while they are there. I see some organizations refusing to employ disabled persons
irrespective of the fact that they are qualified.
Exactly. So what happens?
So, two things. I'm sure that there are legal frameworks to one, deal with the persons with disability, basically affording them access to quality of life and equal opportunity in workplaces. That's not our responsibility. Okay. Our responsibility is that if you're in the course of work and you're injured, we'll pay compensation to you and we'll rehabilitate you and reintegrate you. Part of that rehabilitation and reintegration means we'll provide you with prosthesis if you need one. We'll provide you with training and vocational training if you're not able to function in the same place that you work on, and move you to a different environment where you can continue to earn a living for yourself. So we are not strictly speaking in the business of enforcing the rights of disabled people to work.
Yes,
but we are in the business of ensuring that when accidents happen,
for someone who is working.
Yes, for someone who is working, we compensate, we rehabilitate, and we reintegrate.
Okay. Yes, so able or disabled, that's not the point.
Yes.
The point is that that fellow is working.
Yes. So yes, that's
now. Let's see. Can you show us how? Lead us through the process so that someone is interested and is watching. Wants to know how can I get this? So this is possible.
Yeah. How long it will take for somebody to benefit?
So like I said before, the most important thing is for the employer to be registered and is compliant with payment. Once you're registered,
so the registration is twofold now.
Yes.
The employers register as the body, and then you register your staff along, right?
Of registration.
Okay.
The key question is how many employees do you have?
Okay.
What are their salary structure and payments? What they earn monthly?
Good.
What are they? So we get all of those details. That's the and given the dynamic of work environment, people go, people come. You update all of this information. Your HR department are supposed to do that and all of that. Once you are registered and you are paying monthly, and it's the payments monthly is structured in a way it should be. Once you are paying salary, you are deducting pension, you're also making remittances to NSITF. So it's a straightforward matter. Then if accidents happen, as they are typically bound to happen in workplaces, what will then happen is that the employee affected will notify the employer within 7 days. I mean, ideally, if you're working in an ecosystem, if you're injured as a result of work, it shouldn't take you a day, 20 days, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days for the employer to be aware that this person is injured. So we've given the law stipulates 7 days within which you have to notify the employer. Then the employer will notify NSITF, the nearest NSITF to them, within 14 days. So all in all, within 21 days, that notification system should trigger where we're in the know. And then the timeline then depends on the documentation, back and forth. So let's, for instance, if we're talking about death, for instance, we require death certificate, we require police reports on certain, documentation. That's also the availability of those documents from the claimant will determine the speed at which you receive benefit. Now, on our part, we realized when we came in that the timeline within which claims are processed was too elongated. And what we've done is to streamline our documentation requirements in a way where, rather than asking for 11 papers, we've streamlined it to about 3 now, which makes it easier and reduce the timeline that is required. We're also, of course,
if you reduce the timeline, I want to know how specifically. How is 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 year, 2 years?
Like I said, even at that, it depends on. So if I ask you, bring the death certificate to me. It depends on how long you bring that. It takes you to bring. Yes. So it's really difficult to put that timeline. That timeline depends on our own. We're just ready to ensure that when you come to us, if you bring those documentation within 2 days, 3 days, within the next 1 week, your payments is ready. Once all of those verification is done, there's I think from my experience interacting with our claims and compensation department, what I see that delay is those documentation. And you find that not necessarily that the beneficiary wants to delay, is that they are also dealing with other regulatory or agencies and that also have their own shortcomings and timeline that can impact our own.
Okay, now sorry, I don't want to forget.
Yes.
You know, you take care of death, injury, and related.
Yes.
What about somebody who is kidnapped?
Yes, we've had course. I think that sometime this year I presented a check to the Nigerian customs. I presented a check to, I think it was Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank staff was kidnapped.
You have to bring proof of the person being kidnapped.
So there are parameters to gauge. As long as that kidnapping happened in the course of work. Okay. Now, when we talk about injuries, we're not only talking about physical injuries. The law allows us to talk about mental trauma that arose as a result, that arose from work-related accidents. Now we're looking at psychoanalysis issues that relates or arises from using the computers for a long time, the spinal injuries and all of that. So if you've been kidnapped from as a result of work, whether you die from that, whether you are released, there are parameters within which you can claim, for compensation.
That's right.
Oh well, definitely the way you're saying it. Well, of course, we are seeing that there are challenges. Definitely, there are challenges. We'll ask you to identify some of these challenges that you are facing as an institution. Yeah. But then, in addition to that, I want to say also, that today's world is a technology-based world. And so we want to find out how far and how much have you
deployed?
Utilized or deployed the technology in these services you do, because
to make your job faster.
Yes, to make if it was to move it faster instead of the normal long-term thing. What technology can do in a day or 2 ways.
Thank you very much. Of course, like you rightly said, there are challenges, there are continuous challenges, and our responsibility is to surmount those challenges on a day-to-day basis. From my perspective, we've looked at those challenges, and one of the key challenges is the lack of awareness relating to what the employee compensation scheme in itself is. Okay. Do you understand? You find that people are not totally aware of their rights and responsibilities and the benefits that accrue to that. Another of course point is also lack of enforcement powers, like I've mentioned before, where we do not have the legal framework to really enforce compliance in a manner that will drive up adoption in a way that we want. The third challenge that I'd like to speak to is underreporting of earnings and salaries by employers, because your percentage payment to under the fund is based on what you earn. We've seen cases where employees are earning 100,000, they will say, oh, it's 25,000, and so those of course also impact the services. Of course, I tell employees that's because sometimes you find that they do this with the collusion and understanding of the employees, and I tell them that you are shortchanging yourself, because what then happens is that if there are accidents or incidents, we will calculate your entitlement based on your salary threshold that you've stated to us. And if you reduce it because you're trying to help the employer, you are reducing your entitlement in the long run if anything happens. So those are key challenges that we have. But in terms of of solutions to them, of course, advocacy is an integral part of what we do.
That's right.
We continue to reach out. That's why we are here. To spread the gospel about the benefit. And like I said, when I came in and looked at the organization, I felt that the lasting impact that we can give and leave the agency is in digitalization of these processes, such that subscribers can access us in different channels. They can walk in to our offices. We have 76 branches across Nigeria. We have almost about 14 or 15, 36 branches. We have almost, of course, about 15 regions. All of this really is to disseminate our services to the grassroots. But we are moving beyond that. We are deploying technology in a way that people can sit in their comfort zone and either register or make claims, and either through their phones or through their laptop. And all of those backbone, the framework, are what we're developing to ensure that by the time we're done, there will be multi-channels of engagement with us. And I think that's what technology can do to better increase our efficiency.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, while we're talking earlier, you talked about partnership and collaboration. You call the police and other agencies. How strong is your partnership with other organizations to enhance your work? And don't you think that those agencies delay the processes?
Well, from our perspective, and we recently set up, an interagency, collaborative committee in the office, just to ensure that we deepen and sustain our collaboration engagement with other agencies. When we do our work, we require a lot of data. So CAC is a veritable partner. NIMC is a veritable partner.
That's right.
The Bureau of Public Procurement has been a veritable partner. So there are a whole lot of engagement with key stakeholders, both interagencies, be it the National Assembly, be it the development partners like ILO and International Social Security Organization. Those partnerships we will continue to fine-tune to get the best out of our engagement. And I think that irrespective of what our requirements are, the requirements that subscriber need to bring from those partners, we are not in control of that. And what we can say, and is hopeful, that as we make internal readjustments to our processes and get better, that other agencies are also doing the same in order to give Nigerians the quality of service that they deserve.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll still continue with a lot more, but then we normally what we do here, and that's why we pride in this station to be the station that is the people's voice in actual fact. And so we have people who would have been watching, who would want to make their own calls, to make their contributions, and to ask questions. In addition to the fact that we still have more to ask you anyway, but then as all these will be going on, we'll just take a break, so we'll be able to return to continue with that side of the story.
Thank you.
Right. So you're still there with us on the program, and it still remains the Polity on Kaftan Television, King Adewale Film Theatre Arts Network Television. And so we're still here ensuring that it will reach out to you in the very perfect order. We still have our guest, Oluwaseun Fadile. And of course, he's the MD of NSITF, Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund. And he's there with us, and the aim is to ensure that we get to pick out the very best of all the things that are the goodies that they are giving to the society. Oluwaseun, it's a pleasure to have you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Enjoying myself.
Right. And you, dear viewer, it's time for you to also make your call. We're waiting in a few moments, a few minutes from now, we will start expecting that we'll hear from you. In actual fact, you can even call while we're talking. It's a part of it. You've seen the number there for you. So you just take that bull by the horn and make that call. It's important that you do so. Now, let's find out. Reuben, there are things we have to ask before we let him go today.
Yep.
But then one of those things I want to also ask him is the fact that we're seeing that there are so many things about the insurance factor that many fellows are running away from today. And now that he is here, I know this is social insurance, but insurance is insurance. Tell us a bit about it. Can we talk about it? Because there are new rules, new things about the insurance in the country today.
I think that the comment I like to make is that those new regulatory framework for the insurance industry are welcome. The National Insurance Commission is reinvigorated to drive sustainability within the industry. That's why you will see that the new recapitalization requirements to give debt, because it is in debt that they can underwrite risk in a much more sustainable way that can very deepen the market. And really, and like if you recall, the consolidation era is really to separate the boys from the men. And when that separation is done, we can then begin to feel the impact on the industry. But what is clear is that we need to increase our insurance, the depth of our insurance industry, because that's in itself the situation where the recapitalization or the reinsurance of insurance is done outside of Nigeria, or certain tickets, big tickets transactions cannot be insured in Nigeria. It's really it's more or less a capital flight. So I will commend the insurance regulatory body for stepping up, and I'm hopeful that at the end of that exercise, when this is done, we will see more adoption of insurance by Nigerians, because it has its impact on business, on private individuals, where on insurance you have the peace of mind that your risks are insured, and that also has an impact on our GDP. And I think that's the perspective that I want to leave it at, that look, it's for the sustainability of our economic system generally. We must develop our insurance market and enlighten people to take up insurance much more than we presently do.
So talking about the fact that you say that recapitalization, as we had it in the banking sector some time ago, is what's about to happen in the insurance sector. So that at the end of the day, remembering the fact that then someone that had 50 million became a bank owner, but it can't happen again in Nigeria. At the same way, someone that had even 10 million became floated an insurance company. It will soon never happen again in Nigeria. That's about the major thing we're picking out of it. And of course, then that gives hope to the people, members of the society, because when you are sure that if they insure anything you have, from life to property, that if there is an occurrence, it requires that there will be effective commendation for that, is it not? That's good. Thank you so much. We'll still share a lot of things, but Reuben?
Yeah, the lines are still open. 080-299-38365. We're expecting your call, because it's your show, and I'm sure you want to ask some question, and the MD is still here with us now. 3 days ago, I on my phone in the morning, and then I saw a WhatsApp group had been opened for us to contribute to somebody who lost her dad. All right? And I asked myself, my father don't work, my mother don't work, so this WhatsApp group, I'm not going to gain anything from it. I'll be contributing to them. My own father and mother have died, so no benefit there. So what I'm trying to say that, so if you are not injured, if you are not disabled while at work, the scheme is not for you.
Yes.
Am I right?
You're right.
Okay.
And I will speak about that. So social insurance and social protection of this nature is designed in a way where our collective, is put together to help whoever becomes vulnerable amongst us. And that's the principle.
Okay.
It's not everybody that would be injured in the course of work. But we don't know who will be injured in the course of work. So it means that everybody must be under that umbrella, such that when one person is vulnerable, then the rest can pick up.
Okay.
And I think that's in a nutshell.
Okay. Yes.
If you are not injured, if you're not
so by it. So you thank God, and somebody else
single can benefit.
You will still not be injured tomorrow.
That's right. And you look at
that's right.
Yeah. So that I think that's the way that we should look at it. Like I said, those climes that we look up to, the developed climes where their social protection welfare system is robust. It is laws like this that they have, nothing more than that. Every society you have workmen compensation or employee compensation, where they compensate, rehabilitate, and reintegrate their workforce in the course of injury. When you look at the underlying benefits to the society, then we begin to understand how important this scheme is. I ask people, imagine if all our artisans, imagine if public servants in local government, state government, and the federal government are under the employee compensation scheme, so that if they become injured, they benefit. That's a whole lot of coverage that's really give us spine as a country. And it's something that we are committed to expanding, such that we build that resilience in our country.
Okay, before Okechukwu talk again. When 911 happened in the US the other time, there's a story about a firefighter who was working in that tower and was heading home, and he was driving on his radio and heard that the tower had been brought down. You know what he did? He turned back and went there. And we don't know, that's the last I heard about it. We don't know whether the man survived it or he was killed along. Okay? But you see, I made that example so that I can say this, that in this country, do we have this kind of mind to say, let me go back and face the danger because my country will stand for me when I'm in trouble?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't have this sort of scheme where everybody have the confidence, the only reason that man did not say, thank God I'm not there, I'm going home, is because he knows that if I go back there and I sacrifice my life or my body or my limb, my state, my country, it will be there for me. If we don't have this sort of scheme that gives people the confidence, they will not give their all in service to the fatherland or to any enterprise or any business. Wow. Even if they give their all and accidents occur and they see the shoddy treatment that happen, the next person that you're employing, you say, Solomon, I'll just do my idea and go. That is the essence. That is the culture that we want to create.
That's right. Now, looking at it's social insurance we're talking about. I've always known about social insurance schemes in Britain. Then also, I can also think about what happens in America. But in Africa, especially in Nigeria, I found out that our social insurance scheme, before now, I don't know how it is for now, had been almost on the opposite direction. How do we bring our social insurance scheme to be at par with what we find abroad?
I think that everybody has a role to play, depending on the sort of, like I said earlier, schemes like NSITF, PENCOM, NHIE, even National Directorate of Employment, and you see various cash transfers and initiatives like Empower. Those are all
those who are unemployed.
Yes, those are all sort of social welfare initiatives that government does. What is important is to synergize this. What's it called? We deal with workers that are injured. Who's dealing with retired old people? Who is dealing with
that's right. They're no more working.
Yes. Who, even though we say they've collected pensions, there's still some benefits that can accrue to them. Who is dealing with the unemployed? Who is dealing with the single mothers? There are all sort of various stratas of people that we can focus on, but it must be in a very strategic manner. And I think that for practitioners, as we say, I think that there's still a bit of working in silos. We must put our heads together to evolve a social insurance or social welfare scheme that serves different people and their different needs and requirements in a very cohesive manner. And it is by those practitioners coming together, thinking things through, that we can do that. And of course, Nigerians themselves must also be ready to play a role, or their role in that. When you look at these crimes that we've mentioned, first and foremost, you see adherence to law and order. So, and that adherence to law and order means that if there is a law that already says ABC must be done, everybody will do their part. Of course, we will do responsible if there are any infraction along the way. So, Nigerians must do that. Are we ready to make certain contributions that will fund this long-term social protection welfare? Every social protection you see in US, in UK is paid for. One way or the other, either by tax increase, either by surcharge, either by, so contributions by the world. Yes, so all of those conversations must be had to say, okay, where do we want to go? What sort of welfare do we want to give our people, and how is it going to be funded? And I think those are key discussions to be had.
Okay, yeah, I was going through your website, and I saw this. The Employee Compensation Act 2010, Act 73 of 1993, and you have like 6 of them, but the one that I want to talk about is, you hinted it before, but I want to emphasize that the number 5 says, provide an appeal procedure that is simple and fair with minimal delays. Because the problem is, I'm injured and I'm waiting to be compensated, and it's not coming. It's not forthcoming, and the injury is degenerating. That's where the problem is. Can you touch on that again? Because it's very critical.
Specific provision that you mentioned speaks to the fact that our decisions, our services may not always be satisfactory to our subscribers. So, for instance, you may think that you're entitled to X amount, and we think you're entitled to X amount. What we've done is that we've allowed for an appeal process in an expeditious manner that gives you the right to challenge this, compensation package, and it runs through our system. You appeal to management. Management considers it. If they feel, we'll review. If decisions is not satisfactory to you, you can appeal indeed to our board, and the board takes the final decision regarding that appeal. And I think that's very important in this sort of service, that you give people the right to ventilate their thoughts and their views vis-a-vis what we've earmarked for them as compensation. And we're committed to ensuring that process is transparent and that process is prompt without any delay.
Yeah, when you were talking about your challenges, there's one I expected you to say, and you didn't say, but let me remind you whether it's in existence. People coming up with fake claims.
Well, it's bound to be. It's bound to happen, but it's not a major challenge that we deal with, because we have a robust system that can filter these
verify.
Yes, yes, and that sometimes also contribute to that verification process can lead to some delay, and it's part of what we're doing is to ensure that this verification process happens quickly and promptly.
Okay, I want to say it's good we've been sharing these moments with you, but I want to also ask if you can, by any means, help us a bit of talking about the fact that there are initiatives and programs aimed at promoting workplace security and health.
Yeah.
Is there any program you have to enable some workers, some employers, so that they will now get to be perfectly aware of this, so as to tap into this in the interest of their workers?
Yes, we do. Like I said, we're big on advocacy and engagement.
Yes.
part of that advocacy and engagement is to encourage employers to subscribe for the benefit of employees, and we do that with all our key stakeholders. One of those stakeholders is the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, which is the umbrella body for all private sector employers of labor. And with them, we undertake various initiatives to, one, encourage safe working place or safe working places, where we advocate for the right health and safety initiatives within organizations depending on your industry. What we advocate for the construction industry is different from what we advocate for the oil and gas industry, is different from what we advocate for say a simple service industry, for instance. But our health and safety audits, trainings and awareness campaign are tailored to these specific respective industries depending on their profile. We do that in conjunction with NECA, being the umbrella body for the private sector employers. We also do what we call safe a continuous audit, and all of these are done at no cost to the subscribers, the employers. It's part of that benefit that they get when they are subscribed to NSITF. We on our own, at our own cost, come to you, assess your environment, and give you inputs as to what you should do to further enhance your safety, the safety of your environment. We also work with the Institute of Safety Professionals, because you find that these professionals are all in different organizations as practitioners and employers and all of that, and in collaborating with them to build capacities for professional training and all of that. We're also building resilience within the system and awareness, such that employers and employees within system, rather from an HSC perspective, understand what needs to be done to further make workplaces safer. So that collaboration is key in terms of what we do. And of course, we work with the Nigerian Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment to undertake factory inspection. Our HSC department to undertake that, because all of this we do because we believe that prevention is better than payment of claim. Do you understand? So if we spend resources and time on advocating for safe HSC awareness around the country, we are going to be paying, and people are going to be getting less injured. And when they get less injured, or their accidents occur less, we will pay less claims. So it's self-preservation, really, and so we're committed to ensuring that. But our veritable partner in that regard is Nigerian Employee Compensation Consultative Association.
Okay, now, sorry, before Okechukwu comes again, it's easy because it's a federal government initiative. It's easier for government agencies to subscribe, but private organizations, of course, they are lackadaisical about it. What effort are you making to ensure that private organizations, both small and medium, register or subscribe to the fund?
In addition, sir,
Yes.
mainly the federal workers are the ones involved. What about the state and local governments?
That's right. And private organizations.
I will touch on that. For private organizations, we have two. We have the formal and informal sector. For the formal sector, like your big corporations and all of that, the compliance level is, is relatively okay. Yes. Because of their compliance requirements, we will continue to engage with them for much more sustained compliance. I think where we lack behind is in the informal sector. Your cadre riders, and we are prone to accidents in the course of work.
Exactly.
Your NURTW drivers, they are on the move. Yeah. They are,
I would say
yes. So we've been engaging with them, I think the key thing is we're fashioning, and these discussions are ongoing. Only last week I was in Asaba, where I was meeting with the leadership of the informal sector group, where we're fine-tuning efforts to bring all of them, Okada riders, artisans, all of that into the employee compensation scheme. And the key to that
is for their benefit.
Yes, it is. The key to that is designing a compensation or subscription model that works for their sort of business. So most of them are not in your monthly salary payment structure where it's easy to deduct. So some of them are earning money daily or weekly, and some of our initiative is to sit with them to ensure that their payments or their subscription payments is made vis-a-vis how and when they earn, and then we're able to provide the sort of support that they require. So that's for the informal sector. So that's an ongoing conversation. Our key strategy is to increase the coverage in the informal sector, because 60% of Nigerian workforce, 60 to 70% of our productivity is from that sector. And if we don't provide coverage for that, then the backbone that we're talking about cannot be seriously termed to be a backbone until we give that sector a coverage, where an Okada rider believes that if I'm injured, then it doesn't mean that my son or my child will stop school. That's where we want to get to. So we're developing that framework for the informal sector. On the public sector, particularly the states and the local government that you mentioned, yes, they are not fully compliant now. A majority of them are, but we've had engagement with leading state governors. Like I said, Lagos State is already part of us. Delta State has signified intention to join. We believe that as they review themselves on a peer-to-peer basis, once they see that certain states are compliant and they see the benefits that the workers in those states are getting, then it becomes easier to join. Yes.
Okay. All right. It becomes easier for others to join when they see the benefit as it has come, as it has accrued to the people already involved. Yeah. There are some plans you have as a body. I mean, talking about NSITF for expanding all these. One of the plans you have, from what you have just told me, has to do with this one. You went to Asaba and you talked to them, and even for these states, starting with Lagos, from Lagos you could use that link to go to other states. I want to ask, reaching out to these others, how soon do you project that will happen? Or how soon do you project that the entire nation would be covered?
It's on an incremental basis. The mandate that we've been given by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is to ensure that all Nigerian workers are fully covered under the employee compensation scheme by the end of its tenure, and we will continue to pursue that mandate vigorously.
Okay, by the end of the tenure, we hope it will happen, because it's a beautiful plan.
Yeah, we hope so. Now, in a situation whereby there are no cases, no injury, no death, people are always dying. Okay. Yeah, but no deaths are reducing now anyway, because we're taking care of ourselves. May God give us long life anyway. Deaths, injury, and related matters. If for a period of time there are no cases and the fund is amassing wealth to itself because there's no case to treat, what do I do with that money? It's too much.
Yes. So from my experience, we always have claims to play. But if you look at our mandate, it is to maintain a solvent fund. And maintaining a solvent fund requires a lot of things. It requires transparency, it requires integrity in the management of the fund, and requires that we undertake investment. We take investment opportunities that are not risky to the sustainability of the fund. So, like any fund, once you determine what your liabilities are and could be, prudency requires that the remaining fund are kept, in escrow for eventualities, and some of those funds are also invested in impactful projects, impactful investments that can also contribute to the infrastructural renewal or development of your country. Now, we don't have the size of fund yet to impact our infrastructural landscape like, say, a PENCOM or a pension industry would, because they're sitting on trillions of naira in assets. But I believe that if we build the sort of foundation for NSITF that we're looking at, if we expand the coverage like we intend to, and subscriptions are coming in, we will grow the fund in a way where after payment of claims and compensation and rehabilitation under our mandate, we will still have resources to then look at, say, okay, where is it in Nigeria that things are lacking, and we can invest prudently, commercially, in a way that we can then say we are impacting life, in a much more positive way.
And that's it. Then the opportunity to get into CSR is effectively perfected.
Those are options.
Yes.
I think for us, we must focus on our target.
Okay, that's all right. I'm looking at this, please. There are, I don't know if you would like to mention this. There are some people or some organizations you have worked for, kind of. That is, you have given this fund, and then they are, of course, happy that it has happened. Would it be okay to mention some of them, or if it's not, we can let it be?
So when you say giving the funds in terms of compensation,
yes, compensation.
Organizations, they, like I said, I've just mentioned Nigerian Customs.
Okay,
we paid even the federal civil service. We paid some of their employees that was injured. I mentioned Zenith Bank. I mentioned Seplat, formerly Mobile Producing Unlimited. I mentioned MedPlus. I mentioned Nestle. So the Unity Bank. I mentioned individuals. I can mention a Chinyo in Anambra State.
Okay.
There are people that you know, organizations that you know, companies that you don't know, individuals. There are Nigerians from all walks of life that are benefiting from this very important scheme. And I urge all of us to really pay attention to the benefits that comes with it.
Fine. Now, at the beginning, I asked you when you were appointed, what was in your mind, and you gave me the answer.
Yes.
When you are leaving, how
would you want to be remembered?
Exactly. How happy are you now? And if you are leaving, how can you say, okay, I'm living happy that I have impacted on Nigerians as far as this scheme is concerned?
I think I will be satisfied if we've succeeded in increasing the coverage, particularly, like I said, from the informal sector, ensuring that all of the key public sector tiers of government are also part, and it becomes seamless and sustainable. That's one. I'll be satisfied if NSITF is able to fully take advantage of technological advancement and digitalization to offer its services and engage with its stakeholders. I'll be very satisfied if we leave NSITF with a very, very robust and resilient workforce that are able to discharge these services in a clean, transparent, and prompt manner. Those three general objectives, if we're achieved, and I believe we will leave me a satisfied person.
Okay. I guess we're winding down. Yes, let me ask this question before I get to you. Sorry, it's still on this line. In Captain TV, our logo is a imagine a beautiful world, because we know that we have the best, and we are working towards the betterment of Nigeria. We imagine a world that is going to be beautiful. All right, what is the logo, and how are you working towards making it beautiful?
Like we said, our logo really is providing social protection for all Nigerians. And
for all Nigerians.
Yes.
Underline the word all.
Yes. So when you look at the NSIT,
I'm not a beneficiary.
you could be. I was going to speak to that.
Yes.
When you look at the NSITF Act, it's expansive in that it gives the NSITF the mandate to provide all sort of social insurance, but the only one given the proliferation of social protection agencies and initiatives that we are fully focused on is the employee compensation scheme. If we're able to undertake, and since we are imagining a beautiful world, if we're able to deal and overcome with the challenges that are facing the ECS and deploy it in an efficient manner, the next step is to begin to look at what other social services or social insurance can we offer. What are we doing to the aged? What are we doing to the to young people or unemployed? What are we doing to a single mother or a single parent, for instance? What sort of services and social protection can we do? We can do all of those as an organization if we are empowered, if we take up the responsibility and discharge what is before us competently. Then we can say, okay, we've done this one, we succeeded in it. What next? What are we doing? So that's why I said that imagination is if we can offer social protection for all Nigerians.
That's right.
Okay, thank you so much, the Managing Director of the Nigeria Social Security Insurance, Social Insurance Trust Fund. I want you to do something. There are some things you also want to say that we have not brought out. Please look into this camera and tell our dear viewer about those things, and tell that viewer how important it is for that viewer to be part of this.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'd like to speak to those at home listening to us and watching us to say that the employee compensation scheme is a scheme that has been designed by governments, by lawmakers for the benefit of all Nigerian workers, to build resilience, like I've said, to build grit in our workforce, such that when you step out of your house to earn a living, if anything happens in the course of that, you're not going to be left behind. I call on two sets of people, the employees and the employers, and I'm speaking to the employees now, that you should recognize the importance of this mandate, this act, to you. It safeguards you against any eventuality while you are hustling for your survival, and it's important that you hold your employers responsible to ensure that they comply with the law, and it's by asking the right questions. Have you subscribed to employee compensation scheme? Are you contributing to employee compensation scheme, such that if anything happens as I discharge my work, I will be covered? And to the employers, I ask you that not to see this as a cost, but as part of an investment for the sustainability of your business, because the best investment you can make for the sustainability of your business is in your workforce, is in your workers. And there's no better investment for your workers than ensuring that when they give their best to you, they give that without any restraint, without any doubt that if anything happens, they will be covered. So I call on both the employers and employees to adopt the employee compensation scheme. And when I call on the employer and employee, I'm speaking both to the private sector employers and to the public sector employers, and I'm reaching out, using this opportunity to reach out to the state governors, the local government chairmen, to see this as a resilient building initiative in our workforce, and let us join us together and provide the social welfare that is required to take Nigeria forward. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. That has been the Managing Director of the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund. Forgive me for missing a bit of it then. And I'm talking about a lawyer. Normally, you want to say a barrister at law, which is still the same. Talking about Oluwaseun Fadile. Thank you so much for being here today. And may this not be the last time you'll be here.
No, I don't intend to.
Okay, because we
need to be talking for Nigerians to understand.
Yes, I intend to come back.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been wonderful sharing the moments with you. And just as you've promised to return in no distant time, we will still want to hear you and let the people hear. I want to also say that maybe it will be a network problem, because normally we have people calling a whole lot.
Oh my God, so they don't allow us to talk at all.
It's most likely going to be a network problem that prevented this from happening today.
Because this issue, I'm sure, is of interest to Nigeria.
Huge interest.
Something must have happened.
So we'll find out what.
When I come back next.
Yeah, exactly. And do that. And so that's how we have been able to do something today. And of course, not forgetting that I've worked with my dear colleague, Reuben Okala. Breaking news. It's a pleasure working with you.
It's my pleasure, and MD, thank you very much for coming. God bless.
Thank you.
I want to say also that on behalf of my colleagues with whom we have done things one way or the other today, and of course, not forgetting also to say not only thanks to the MD, there are other workers with whom his team, with whom he came in. We want to thank all of you for coming, and we hope you will all come along with him next time. Let me say special thanks to Ekaite Ibot, not forgetting to mention others also that have worked. Ehanyu Goji, Eukarya, you won't forget that. And there are many of our people, really. There is Sam Omaji, Paul Omale, Ephraim, and a whole lot of us worked to make sure that the best came out of what we have had. Especially thanks to all of them. And that's to say that for us all here, it's always a pleasure to share with you. Let me not forget to thank Victor and the other fellows with whom he had worked. This is Okechukwu Onubogu. What do I say? May the very best happen to us all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.